Allegedly, the song Daughter on Beyonce's Cowboy Carter album.
I love that one.
Well, it's potentially a confession about Jay-Z's mistress, Cathy White.
What?
Yeah, buckle up. On August 28th, 2011, Beyonce announced her pregnancy at the MTV VMAs.
Iconic.
On January 7th, 2012, Blue Ivy was born into this world. In 2016, Beyonce dropped Lemonade. Now, as we all know, Lemonade was a true album about infidelity. Jay-Z was rumored to have a very long time mistress. It was well known in the industry. People knew of Cathy White because of Jay-Z, okay? Yikes. So here's where it gets a little crazy. Cathy White was known to be pregnant in 2011. Shortly after giving birth, Cathy died mysteriously in her apartment of a brain aneurysm.
I have a feeling this is related.
Okay. Now, even though we saw Beyonce's bump publicly,
we finally know the truth, sis, about Blue Ivy Carter, the princess of hip-hop, Beyonce's firstborn, and about Cathy White, the woman the blogs swear was silenced before she could drop Jay-Z's darkest secrets. For more than a decade, these two names have been tangled up in whispers, and it's giving nothing but cover-up energy. Blue Ivy came into this world in 2012, but before she even let out her first cry, she was already a headline. Who could forget that iconic 2011 VMAs moment? Beyonce rubbing her baby bump like a mic drop, an announcement that shook the world. But instantly people weren't buying it. That collapsing bump on TV, it had folks convinced something wasn't right. The streets started buzzing about surrogacy. Until this very day, fans still argue if Beyonce actually carried Blue herself. Now here's where it gets even wilder. Cathy White's name suddenly pops into the mix. For those who don't know, Cathy was a young publicist who blogs claimed was once tied romantically to Jay-Z, allegedly his mistress. And word on the street was that she had tea to spill. Not just about Jay's cheating, but about secrets that could shake the entire Carter empire. And just when the rumors about her speaking out started heating up, boom! Cathy White suddenly passed away in 2011 at only 28 years old, reported as an aneurysm. The timing was way too eerie. One moment Beyonce is glowing with her pregnancy announcement, and the next, the one woman allegedly tied to Jay-Z's mess is gone. That's when conspiracy culture exploded. Some swore Cathy was silenced. Others believed her death was a warning. And when Blue Ivy was finally born months later, the theories doubled down. Her birth and Cathy's death were two halves of the same mystery. But let's be clear, the Carters never entertained any of that noise. For them, Blue Ivy was nothing but a blessing, period. Jay even dropped Glory right after her birth, rapping about a miscarriage he and Beyonce suffered before Blue. The official story was heartbreaking but uplifting. A painful loss, followed by a miracle baby. End of story. At least that's how they spun it. Still, the internet wasn't done talking. Every time Beyonce posted a flawless family photo, there was always a thread underneath about Cathy White, about hidden truths, about the suspicious timing. And here we are, more than a decade later, with new whispers surfacing again. Blue Ivy is now a teenager, building her own legacy, while Cathy White's name still lingers like a ghost tied to the Carter fairy tale. Was it all just a coincidence or a carefully covered up scandal? Because when it comes to public spin, nobody plays the game cleaner than the Carters. Beyonce and Jay-Z built their empire on two things: unmatched talent and ironclad image control. When Blue Ivy was born, it wasn't just about welcoming a child, it was about crafting a narrative. The official story painted Beyonce as the glowing mother finally holding her miracle baby after heartbreak. Jay was the proud father, rapping about new life. Together, they were the picture of black royalty. Every magazine cover, every stage photo, every rare glimpse of Blue Ivy was tightly curated. No messy paparazzi shots, no leaked baby shower pics, no room for alternative stories. Blue wasn't just their child, she was living proof that their love was unbreakable, their empire untouchable. But while the Carters polished perfection, the whispers refused to die. Fans dissected every clip, especially that infamous Australian interview where Beyonce's belly seemed to fold as she sat down. People swore the whole pregnancy was staged, that a surrogate carried Blue Ivy while Beyonce orchestrated the ultimate distraction with her VMA reveal. Her death hit like a thunderclap. Just as Beyoncé's pregnancy news went global, the conspiracy machine didn't just hum, it roared into overdrive. To the public, it was painted as an aneurysm, a tragic accident. But to the fans online, it looked like something much darker, erasure. And that's the split we've been watching for over a decade. On one side, the Carters built a fortress around their brand, presenting Blue Ivy as the chosen heir. Polished, protected, untouchable. Cathy White's name, scrubbed clean out of the conversation like she never existed. On the other side, the internet's underground never let go, whispering Blue Ivy and Cathy White forever, linking the two in theories about timing, power moves, and secrets hidden in plain sight. Even now you see it play out in real time. Every time Blue Ivy wins another award or steals the spotlight on Beyoncé's Renaissance tour, the official story gets louder. Look at this gifted child, born for greatness. But scroll down to the comments and there's always someone digging up Cathy's name, refusing to let the story die. That's the thing about spin, sis. The Carters can guard their image like Fort Knox, but the internet's memory, it doesn't fade. They buried Cathy White in silence, but in doing so, they turned her ghost into a permanent shadow tied to Blue Ivy's story. And let's be real, the reason folks still connect Blue Ivy and Cathy White all these years later isn't just because of timing. It's because Jay-Z's track record with women has never been squeaky clean. Before he was half of the Carter power couple, Jay was already surrounded by cheating rumors, secret flings, and whispers about women whose names never made the official press. Yet Cathy White's name, it keeps floating back to the surface like a buoy no one can sink. So who exactly was she? Cathy White wasn't just a random name in the gossip pages. She was a young, ambitious publicist moving through New York's entertainment scene, well-connected and plugged into the blogs. The whispers said she was allegedly Jay-Z's longtime side piece, the woman he'd slip away with even while building his empire alongside Beyoncé. But here's what made Cathy different. She allegedly had access to everything: Jay's style, his moves, the skeletons he didn't want dragged out. And here's where the story gets even messier. In 2011, blogs started buzzing that Cathy was ready to speak out. Some said she was tired of being hidden. Others claimed she was preparing a tell-all packed with names, details, and receipts that could light the Carter empire on fire. Then, just like that, she was gone. Dead at 28, officially ruled an aneurysm. No foul play, no deep investigation, just a sudden, tragic end. But the timing? It was too on the nose for conspiracy culture to ignore. Cathy dies in August 2011. Weeks later, Beyoncé walks on stage at the VMAs, rubbing her belly and announcing she's pregnant with Blue Ivy. To the internet, that wasn't coincidence. That was choreography. The other woman exits. The chosen heir enters. The Carter image stays protected. And don't forget, Beyoncé's pregnancy was under a microscope from day one. People swore the bump folded, swore she wore prosthetics, swore a surrogate carried Blue Ivy. Beyoncé clapped back with documentaries and interviews, but the rumors never died. Cathy's ghost only made them louder. Jay-Z's own music hasn't helped either. In later years, he publicly admitted to cheating, and his 444 album was basically a confession of infidelity. Fans look back and say, see, he told on himself. Which only makes Cathy White's story feel even more believable. Line it all up. Jay-Z's history with women, Cathy's alleged affair, her sudden death, Beyoncé's rocky pregnancy narrative, and the whispers practically write themselves. Now, before we crown ourselves detectives, let's zoom out, because the Carters ain't the only ones whose legacies got tangled up in secret kids, hidden mistresses, and suspiciously timed deaths. These kinds of scandals been floating around celebrity culture for decades. And the pattern? Way too familiar. Take Arnold Schwarzenegger, for example. For years, he was the ultimate Hollywood family man with Maria Shriver by his side. Then boom, the world finds out he had a secret child with the housekeeper, and that boy had been growing up right under everybody's nose. Overnight, the polished power couple image collapsed into a hidden family empire that he couldn't hide anymore. Or look at Drake. He tried to keep Sophie Brousseau and their son Adonis in the shadows, only to get dragged into the light by Pusha T. Suddenly, the whole world knew, and Drake had to spin it quick, flipping from embarrassed secret keeper to dad of the year. Sound familiar? A man with skeletons, forced by public pressure to stop hiding and face the truth. Even Steve Jobs, billionaire genius, Apple's golden icon, denied his daughter Lisa for years. Even after DNA proved it, he tried to bury the truth while building his empire, like she didn't exist. That's the thing about power. It makes people think they can bury the truth forever. But secrets, they always crawl back. And that's what makes Cathy White's story hit different. In her case, it feels like the same energy, but darker. Unlike Schwarzenegger, Drake, or Jobs, Cathy never got the chance to tell her side. She didn't get to go on TV, drop a tell-all, or even air out the receipts herself. She died at just 28, right when the whispers claimed she was finally ready to talk. That's why her name cuts deeper than the others. It's not just scandal, it's silence. But if we flip this whole narrative on its side, maybe Cathy's death really was just a medical tragedy. Aneurysms are brutal, sudden, and they don't discriminate. Maybe she wasn't silenced. Maybe she was just unlucky. And maybe Beyonce really did carry Blue Ivy herself, bump and all, and the folding belly clip was nothing but a bad camera angle. Maybe the conspiracy isn't proof of a cover-up, but proof that people simply don't trust perfection. Because the Carters keep everything locked so tight, fans start filling in the blanks with wild scripts of their own. Still, here's the kicker. Perception is everything. Once the public smells mystery, the truth doesn't even matter anymore. Arnold will forever be tied to the housekeeper. Drake will always be clowned for hiding his son. And the Carters, no matter what the autopsy said, no matter what the baby photos show, Cathy White's ghost is forever tied to Blue Ivy's name. And that's why this story will never really rest. So if you're ready for more breakdowns of hip-hop's most guarded scandals, make sure you like, subscribe, and keep rocking with RippleFame.